Hey there, Angela Mosley here with Modern Fit Moms. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you guys for showing up and trusting me for your prolapse, leaking, and diastasis recti journey. I can't wait to share with you today. I recently had a reel that kind of went, I wouldn't say viral, but it got a lot of attention. And the reel was all about what I did when I first got my prolapse diagnosis for core work and what I do today with my prolapse diagnosis. So if you're new here, I'm Angela Mosley, a mom of four, and I was diagnosed with a stage 2 cystocele prolapse, a stage 2 rectocele prolapse. I was peeing down past my knees, and I had a 3-finger wide diastasis recti at about 2 knuckles deep DR. And so I'm not going to cover all the basics of that today. You can check out some of my other videos on DR, leaking, and prolapse. But what I want to share with you is the exercises, the core exercises I started with, and how I progressed them to where I am today. So just note that it's a journey. It takes time. So if you're just starting out on this journey, it's okay. It takes time, and just know that you will get there as long as you stay consistent and you are committed. You can't just expect your results overnight to work. Now, that also is the same with core exercises, right? We can't just do core exercises and think that our diastasis recti is going to go away or that our prolapse is going to heal. Core exercises are a small piece of the pie. And so I think a lot of people think that it's really just core, but it is so much more than that. And if you have been following me for a while, then you know that it's more than that. If you are interested in a true transformational program to get back to lifting weights while reversing prolapse symptoms, eliminating leaks, and healing diastasis recti, make sure to check out my 90-day transformation program below, included with the membership, specific for moms like you. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with the exercises that I did to start with to get me from where I was then to where I am today. So just a little quick more background on me. I no longer leak. I no longer pee myself. I don't even pee when I sneeze or cough. Prolapse symptoms are extremely far and few between, and it typically is as if I had a bad day of eating and then I just didn't go to the bathroom right away. TMI, I know. I used to queef when doing handstands. I also have a video on that as well, and I no longer queef because it's all about your breathing. So what I want to share with you is that there's no real unsafe or safe exercise for someone with prolapse. I've gotten comments on my content before when doing a dead bug, for example, and someone was like, how is that safe for prolapse? Helps to activate your pelvic floor, but if you're doing it wrong, that's when it can become unsafe. So if you're doing it right, you're managing your pressure well, you have a good, well-oiled machine working, your diaphragm is working, your breathing is working, then it's a great exercise to help support healing. But if you're not doing it right, then it can be a bad exercise. So I'm not going to go into all of that detail today. I'm simply just going to show you the exercises that I did, my core exercises that I started with. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So the very first exercise, of course, is a dead bug. Dead bugs were my enemy. Like, you could put me in a plank position and I would be perfectly fine, but you put me on my back, I hated it. It was the worst position for me to be in, and I really, really struggled with it. So I want to show you a couple different tips and tricks that you can do for our basic dead bug. So I'm going to show you all the basic core exercises. Again, this is not an entire list, just some of my favorites. You can find a couple of my beginner-friendly core exercise workouts on my channel, or like I said, you could join the membership for more in-depth core training for prolapse, leaking, diastasis recti. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so I have a couple props here because I want you to have the support that your body needs when first starting the dead bug core exercise. Because like I said, especially if you are experiencing pressure, then we really want to support you in that. So I'm going to move my props off to the side. We're going to start with the basics dead bug. So you're going to come down onto the mat. And so the very first exercise or very first variation is you want to think about connecting with your core, right? So once you've mastered your core connection, I know I have videos on that. So I'm not going to dive too much into it, okay? So the very first is a knee drive. So you want to think nice tight core as you drive the knee up and as you drive the knee up. Once you've mastered that, then you can come into this heel tap and heel tap. Once you've mastered that, one leg at a time, one leg at a time. All right, I'm not going to show you all the things because I already did a video on this, so go check my channel for that. If you are someone that is really struggling with your dead bug, here's a couple props. Grab yourself a pillow and elevate your upper body. This is going to shift yourself a little bit so that it can help make you tuck under a little bit, or if you're just feeling lots of pressure in your shoulders and in your neck, to support you in this position. So that is option number one. Option number two is grabbing a towel and placing it underneath your hips. So play around with the depth of your towel. You can place it underneath your hips, especially if you are feeling prolapse symptoms. Then this can help shift the pelvis to pull the prolapse back into your body. And this can naturally help turn those lower abs on just a smidge more, okay? So again, you're just gonna start with the basics. You can start with that knee drive. You wanna think nice tight core, then tap down, and then once you're ready for it, then you can start adding in all the different limbs, and then you can start adding in all the way out. Now, another option you can do is using a foam roller underneath your bum, okay, as an option. So place it underneath your bum, come up, tap down. So it's gonna do this similar concept to your, to the towel, except it's really going to shift the pelvis back to support more prolapse. So if you are experiencing prolapse symptoms, give these several different tips a try to see which one works best and what feels good in your body. If it does not work, if you're still feeling prolapse symptoms, that's okay. It's just not the right exercise for you. There are plenty of other exercises we can do to support your body. So another dead bug variation that I love is a simple knee drop, okay? So just dropping down. So I like to inhale as I drop down, exhale as I come up. Same thing. Drop that leg down, exhale to come up. So core, lower abs. We are attacking those low abs here. So drop down. We want to make sure that that rib cage stays down, and then come up. So very basic, but when you move with control and you move slowly, this can really help to turn those low abs on. So when we tune into our bodies, we tune into what we're feeling. We're not rushing through the exercise. We can really feel those low abs turn on. All right. So drop down and up. So these movements activate your pelvic floor better than a Kegel because it's more functional, it's more dynamic, right? So that's why we do these core exercises, because it supports pelvic floor strengthening, but also supports core strengthening at the same time. Right after that is a side plank. So you can use support of a bench or an elevated surface to support you in the side plank. There are a million different side plank variations. I'm not going to cover them all. I'm just going to cover the basic in today's video. I may actually have a side plank video on my channel. If I don't need to like to see one, make sure to comment below. Okay, so very first thing is you want to think on your elbow, and you want to think about pressing the elbow into the mat so you're not sinking into your shoulder. You want to have a nice stacked position. I'm going to have you start in that bent knee position, and you have a couple options here. So pay attention to what you feel in your body. You can have your knees straight out, or you can have your knees out in front, or you can have them out at an angle. None of them are wrong. So choose an option and an angle that works best in your body. So you can either hold up and breathe. So I want you to compress the abdominals. You're working your abs while you're also breathing. So you're inhaling and exhaling as you would with anything else. And I want you to focus on that while compressing the abs. You're going to feel it mostly in your obliques, in that rib cage, getting that rib, great for a rib cage or for a rib flare. And you can hold your hand up. You can think about reaching up towards the ceiling. This is going to naturally pull you out of that shoulder, or you can place it on your side or wherever it feels comfortable. Now you can simply do a lift and lower. So inhale here, exhale here. Again, you can change the position of your knees. You can lift up and down. You can reach out, play around with what feels good for you. Right after that, you can use the Pilates ball. This is going to activate more of those adductors and the front of the pelvic floor, and more of those lower abdominals for extra support. So again, play around with each variation and see which one you like best, or mix and mingle them. All right. So you can hold here, and then what I like to do is I like to squeeze on the exhale. Inhale, let go, exhale, squeeze. You can also inhale here and then exhale, squeeze at the top when you squeeze it, and then come back down and release. So that is the side plank variation. Like I said, there was a million side plank variations, but those are the basics that I started with. Right after that, we have our hands and knees position. So if you have a wall and you could place your feet up against a wall, that is a great option to support your pelvis, because we want to make sure that your pelvis isn't shifting back and forth. You can also use a big yoga ball to place behind your bum and then against the wall. That can also help support you as well. So you want to think you're going to have your hands and knees. Wow. Have your hands under your shoulders. You want to think about pushing the floor away, thinking about pressing into the fingertips, and you want to think a nice long neck. So tuck that chin slightly back, knees under hips, and you want to think about a slight tuck under. So kind of like a cat-cow. So here my tailbone is up, and then I think about pulling my pubic bone up towards my sternum without getting my glutes. So I don't want my glutes to do the work. I want my core to do the work. So I'm shifting and pulling that pubic bone up towards the sternum. So the very first step or the very first option is just focusing on your breathing while compressing the abdominals. So I want to think about breathing into my backspace and into my rib cage here. And then I want to think about pulling that pubic bone up towards the sternum. So you can simply just do your breathing in this position. Once you feel strong enough and you feel ready for that gravity, you can then lift the knees up off the mat. So again, pushing through the floor, neck is long, tuck that chin back. Think about scooping those low abs under, scooping them, and inhaling and exhaling. Now you can do 3 seconds at a time. You can reset yourself, reset, inhale, and then exhale, lift, and then drop down for your inhale. So you can start with that until you're ready to hold. I would say hold for 20 seconds, 30 seconds, and then continue to progress yourself. Now, if you're really struggling to get those low abs on board, or if you struggle with your quads, I hear this a lot. This happened to me as well, where my quads were working more than my lower abdominals. I'm like, man, this is more of a quad exercise, not a core exercise. I get it. We really want to think about tucking that tailbone slightly under and thinking about pulling that pubic bone up towards the sternum and scooping those abdominals. But sometimes that doesn't work. So sometimes we have to place a ball in between our knees. And same thing with that side plank. I want you to think, inhale, the ball is nice and soft, and then exhale, squeeze the ball. Inhale, ball is nice and soft. Exhale, squeeze the ball. And that can support you in getting those lower abdominals on board. Okay? All right, our final exercise is super basic, super simple. It's a glute bridge. Again, I know all these exercises are super basic, but this is where you need to start. You need to start with the basics and then you progress on from there. If you want more advanced and more core training, make sure to check out the membership. All of my core exercises, all of my advanced core workouts are in there. Takes you from basic level. It's called Reset, Core Reset. Core build, and then core max. It takes you from the basics, middle ground, and then that advanced core training like I showed where I am at today. It takes you through those progressions. All right, come down on the mat. We're going to go into a glute bridge. So the further out your feet are, the more hamstrings you're going to get. While hamstrings are great, we need them for good core and pelvic floor. We're focusing on the glutes. So bring those feet in towards the bum. You want to take a nice tripod foot, and you want to think about pressing through the floor with your feet to lift those hips up. Okay, so neck is long. We're going to inhale at the bottom. You can have your hands down. You can have them up top. You can kind of place them wherever. If you want to place them on your body, that's perfectly fine too. So inhale here, and then slowly but surely lift those hips up. You can squeeze the ball as you exhale, and then inhale, let go, and drop down. And repeat. So inhale here, and exhale, squeeze the ball as you lift up, and then drop down. So you're going to do several different reps there. Once you feel like you've mastered that and you're ready for a little bit more, you can always come up, lift one leg up at a time, and then place that foot down on the mat, and then lower those hips down. And then you're going to repeat on the other side. Very important that one hip doesn't drop, all right? So if you have weak glute med muscles, your hip may drop because you don't have the strength over here to keep you up in that up position. All right, so you can record yourself and pay attention to it. Then once you feel like you're strong enough, you can lift one leg at a time before you drop your bum back down, okay? So those are the basic core exercises, like I said, that I started with, that I start my clients with, that you start in the core reset program, which is just core exercises. Like I said before and earlier, it's more than just core exercises. We have to work and look at the whole system. We have to look at the thoracic spine. We have to look at the feet. We got to look at the glutes, the hips, all the things that impact the core and the pelvic floor. But if you're like just wanting some core exercises, then you'll want to do my core reset program, core build, core max. If you're looking for that full transformation program where I take you from point A all the way to point B of of lifting weights safely at home with prolapse, leaking, and diastasis recti, make sure to check out the Core Lift program. I will absolutely love to be a part of your journey. You'll get access to all of my programs, and you'll get access to my community where you can ask me questions. Nothing is TMI, and you get direct access to me inside the community and other moms going through the program. If you have any questions about any of that, make sure to comment below. Otherwise, as usual, I'll see you in the next video.